everyone. Welcome back to Presley Mania. I'm so glad you're joining me today for this little episode on Riley Keough. Riley has recently given a couple of different interviews. One was on a YouTube channel called Fern Cotton's Happy Place, and the other was with Chelsea Handler. And let's start with the first one, Fern Cotton's Happy Place. I absolutely loved this interview. It was over an hour long. Riley appears just very laid back. She didn't have on a lot of makeup and she was still beautiful. Oh my gosh. And she's just talking, and it was so heartfelt and genuine. And you got a sense of who she really is. It's like there was no pressure on her to be anything other than Riley, you know? And I had it sent to me by a few different people, and most of them, their comments were, I love this. I felt it was honest, heartfelt, and just like kind of like back on the Team Riley camp again. But then she gave the interview with Chelsea Handler, and I became disheartened and disappointed. Not that Riley came across in a bad way. She never does. She always presents herself very well. She has a great way of speaking and relating. But I tend to read between the lines a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't do that. But some of the things that she says has given me pause and made me stop and wonder exactly what does this mean. And I think Aaron may be on the same page as I was, because he recently did an interview, not an interview, but a podcast on Riley's interview with Chelsea Handler, and it left him with a lot of questions as well. So we're going to start with that, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the things Aaron said and how I also feel about it, and then just some of my own personal thoughts about the interview with Chelsea Handler. Chelsea is talking to her, and at one point in the interview, Chelsea says to Riley, they were talking about Lisa Marie and her drug abuse, and Chelsea just throws in here like, oh, it's so refreshing to hear after all the negative things about Scientology, how they were there for Lisa Marie as a community and helped her get off drugs and support her when no one else would. What? They were there for her as a community? No, I don't think so. And Lisa Marie left Scientology because of the things that were being done that she did not approve of. And Riley was just kind of like, yeah, you know. And then, but let's talk about that a minute. Because of Scientology, Ben and Lisa both were unable to get any kind of help that they needed for their addiction. They weren't able to see anybody to talk to help them, because Scientology doesn't approve of those kind of things. So how can that be a plus for Scientology? I mean, at one point, I think at the very end, right before, when Lisa was trying to get off of them, I think she had one last purification session with Scientology. And we talked about that on a couple of my shows before, how what they do is they go in and they detox you, and you sit in this hot sauna, and they're giving you all these different vitamins and things to get you to sweat out all of the drugs. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And Lisa had been conditioned for this her whole life in thinking that this was helpful. not in her whole life that she was always on drugs. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that she had felt like that, you know, they were doing things to try to help her, when in essence they weren't helping her at all. Even if these purification things helped her get the drugs out of her body, she needed professional help to deal with the addiction. Ben needed professional help for his addiction as well. There was no intervention as to why do you feel like you need them? Why is your body craving this? And how do you get past that? All it did was get it out of the system, her system, for a little while, you know? So I found that just absolutely insane that Chelsea Handler would say something to the effect of, you know, that it was so good to see them coming together as a community to help Lisa Marie. No. Let's talk about some of the things they did to Lisa Marie. Okay, first of all, Lisa left Scientology for many reasons. You've got to remember, this was probably not easy for her to do. She had been a part of this cult. Her mother put her in it shortly after Elvis left. Okay, so she was 9 years old at the time. I figure she probably got in Scientology somewhere around 10 or so. And she had been in it all these years. So her mind, her thought processes were all formed by them. She thought this was a good thing, a good place. She even gave interviews saying how much that she felt it was good and it was helpful. But then she started seeing the dark side. So let's talk about some of the things why she left. First of all, Lisa found out that there were about the abuse of children in Scientology in some of their schools, and that the person that was doing the abuse basically got off scot-free. That it was never turned in to the police. These children were abused. The person doing it gets a slap on the wrist by Scientology. And do you think that would stop it? No. Then she also found out about how David Miscavige's sisters, David Miscavige was banning them from even seeing their father. Apparently he was wanting to get out of the religion. So David Miscavige is telling his sisters, no, you can't see him anymore. Because see, here's the thing with Scientology. When you leave, you become someone that they do not want you having contact with anybody else in your family that's still a part of the cult. They don't want that. So when Lisa left, that's why she had a meeting with her family and said, we're out of here, we're leaving, we're done, we're done. But my question is, did they all leave? Lisa basically had a conversation because David Miscavige refused to see her face to face. And she talked to him on the camera, and she knew he was watching it, and basically told her, you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. You know, what you're doing is wrong. I want no part of this. I'm out of here. I'm gone. But Lisa may have left, but I'm not convinced that they all did. I feel like that maybe, possibly for a short time, that they kind of severed their relationship with Scientology, but I don't feel like it stayed that way. And I don't feel like Priscilla has ever left it, even though Navarone has said that she did. And I'm not sure Riley has either, because it almost seems to me like there is some kind of damage control going on. Like they're trying to repair the things that have been said by Lisa Marie and the things she did against Scientology and blame it on her drug use. And why do I say that? Because Riley made the comment and said that when Lisa talked about Scientology, she always says, well, I was such a difficult child, and she was making a joke about it. I was such a difficult child, and so no one could handle me except for them. Well, and no one would help her except for them. Well, we know that's not true because they didn't help her. They set her up, they monitored her. Apparently, according to Aaron, that Lisa had millions embezzled from her by another person in Scientology. And they were embezzling money and giving gifts to other Scientology members with Lisa's money. And not only that, she had people who were spying on her and giving these weekly, what they called snitch reports to David Miscavige. Well, why were they keeping such close tabs on her? They didn't want to lose her. They didn't want to lose her. They didn't want to lose Priscilla. And all of this was going on before she did that camera conversation with David Miscavige telling him she was out of there. So she had all of these people monitoring her constantly. Make no mistake about it. This is a cult, and it is very dangerous. And they want people who have money, who have influence. Why did they do all this to Lisa Marie? Why were they watching her so closely? It's because of what I just said. She had money, she has influence, and they wanted to use her to get more people in to bring in more money for their organization. So when Riley said that Lisa used to make fun and say that, oh, well, they were the only ones who would try to help me and could handle me, that is not true. And they were talking about when Lisa left on the Handler interview, and Riley said, well, she basically just left her life. Not necessarily, it wasn't so much her leaving Scientology. She just left her life and moved to England. She fired everybody. She was done with it all, and she just packed up and they moved to England. There was a reason she packed up and moved to England. There was a reason she fired everybody. That happened after she told David Miscavige off and told him that she was no longer a part of his religion. She had found out that the people working for her in her home were spying on her. All these people that Lisa had surrounded herself with for years and years and years were sending snitch reports back to David Miscavige, keeping an eye on her. And did you ever stop and wonder why it was that when Lisa was she left Danny Keough and began her life with Michael Jackson, why Danny didn't stop and try to stop her and he just walked off and said, okay? Well, I found out something extremely interesting on the Aaron show. The former president of the Celebrity Center is a lady by the name of Karen Hollander. Do you know who her stepson is? It's Danny Keough. That's right. Who do you think would have said, just step back and let it happen? Let her see Michael Jackson. And when she came and said, I'm in love with Michael, and Danny said, okay, he just walks away. Because they are programmed in Scientology that, okay, this is for the greater good, so I just swallow my pride and myself and say, okay, that's fine. Because if she can get Michael Jackson into the cult, then it's all for the greater good, right? No, no. But that's what happened. He just said, okay, and let her go off. And they tried to bring Michael Jackson in, but that did not work. Now, I have not investigated this other part. This is according to Aaron. So if, I can't speak with 100% certainty that this is correct, but there was another woman who became president of the Celebrity Center after Danny Keogh's stepmom left, and her name was Susan Watson. What happened after Michael Jackson and Lisa split up? Susan Watson tried to hook Lisa up with her son, Luke Watson. Now you tell me, why would they do that? Because they're trying to keep tabs on her. They want to know what is going on in every bit of her life. And Lisa had gotten fed up because she had found out about what Scientology really was doing, how they were abusing children in one of their schools, how the person who did it got away with it. The police were never involved. And from what I understand, this was not the first time this has happened. That it is a very bad situation that children are abused in Scientology, and there's nothing being done about it. And Lisa was sending information to people, working behind the scenes to try to bring them down, to try to stop it. She was forcefully going after them. Okay? So they did not want that. And they did not want to be put in the spotlight about all of these charges and things. Okay. Then, so why do I think that maybe Riley is doing damage control? It's because sometimes I wonder if there is some kind of blackmail going on between Scientology and the Presley family. What do they have? What kind of information do they have that they could leak? Because they do these audit sessions, and every single one of them, they go and they have to tell their story, their life story. So they're making notes, and they keep all of this information on them. So they have all this dirt on any and everybody that is part of their religion. And so that they have information on Lisa Marie. They have information on Danny Keogh. They have stuff on Priscilla. So is Riley doing damage control to protect her family? Or is this just what she has chosen? Is she saying these things to make Scientology look good? Or is this what she really believes? She was there at the very beginning. She knows why Lisa Marie left Scientology. She knew, make no mistake about it, she knew from start to finish what was going on with them. So, as close as she was to her mother, why now would you be saying that and blaming Lisa packing up and moving to England on the opioids that she was using? That she just, at that time, she says, Lisa was on opioids and I didn't realize how bad it was. And she basically just fired everybody and packed up and moved to England. No, but there was a reason for it. It's because of everything going on within Scientology. I don't get it. Other than I think that there is some type of protection going on between Riley trying to, either she is being pushed to do this, or maybe it's the fact that her dad is so ingrained in Scientology that she just can't bring herself to pull away from it. I don't know, but I honestly feel like that Riley is probably still involved with this cult. And that is sad for me. That is what disheartened me. Because they twist things and they manipulate things to make them look good. And they take advantage of others. And they took advantage of Lisa Marie. And we know this for sure, that Elvis never wanted to be a part of that. Yet Priscilla turns around and puts Lisa Marie in it, knowing full well that's not what her daddy would have wanted, but she didn't care because they were able to help Priscilla get more into TV and all of this kind of stuff and commercials. And, you know, they set her up. They were able to promote her and get her what she wanted. And that's always what it was about. It was always, bottom line, was what she wanted. So I also found it interesting that she said that her relationship, Chelsea asked Riley about her relationship with Priscilla. And she said that, Riley said, she said, are you still close to your grandma? And Riley said, we've always been close. We've never not been close, which is exactly what she said, I believe, in a Vanity Fair interview. A lot of the things that Riley says, I feel like, are repeats, you know, like some of the stuff she said in the Chelsea Handler interview were reported in People magazine, almost verbatim, word for word. It's like she's rehearsed it and she's got it down and she just says the same thing. Could it be possibly that it's because she's been asked the same questions over and over and over and her answer is always the same? Yeah, I think so. Or could it be that she just says the same thing over and over because she's trying to not cause waves, to keep it all the same, you know, so there's not something that comes back on her grandma. But this, let's get back to this. She said, so she asked her, so y'all are close? And she's like, yeah, we've always been close. And she said actually, we've never even had an argument. What? You've never had an argument with your grandmother? But yet, she sued you. And then she says that we are just, you know, she says we're fairly close. After saying we're very, very close, then she comes back and says we're fairly close. Okay. And she said, we're really just, how does she say this? Just an average family. She said, other than the random lawsuits. And she said her grandmother was wonderful. Other than the random lawsuits, really? That's how you're just going to end that? And Chelsea said, well, I wasn't, you know, going to ask about that, but did all of it get settled? She goes, oh, yeah, everything got settled. Oh, it got settled all right. It most certainly did. Priscilla walked away with $1 million and $900,000 a year in her bank account, I believe, you know, for the next 10 years. Oh, it got settled. But yet you're fairly close to your grandmother after a lawsuit? Really? It just, it doesn't add up to me, y'all. You know, and that's why I was so disheartened when I listened to the Chelsea Handler interview after the Fern Cotton's YouTube presentation interview she did with Riley. They were almost like two different things to me, and it really made me sad because I don't want Riley a part of that cult. Not that it's any of my business. It really probably is not. But I just know what Elvis wanted. And I also know that Lisa wanted nothing to do with him anymore, and she was working behind the scenes trying to bring them down. Then the stuff happened with Ben, and I think a lot of it got put on hold, but Lisa didn't want to be a part of it anymore either. And so, let me know your thoughts, what you think about this. I'm just giving you my opinion on what happened on the Aaron show, what he had to say about it, what my thoughts on the Chelsea Handler interview, and the other one. It's just disappointing to me. I so wanted Riley to be done with Scientology. I don't feel like she is. So y'all let me know. Again, don't take this for gospel. Just remember, these are my thoughts and my opinions only. So until next time, remember, you only get one shot at this life, so live each day to the fullest, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. See you all later, everybody. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you.